The bond that Karmelo Anthony is on is too high. We do. Because guess what? We've been here when Aaron Dean was arrested. We was here when Amber Geiger was arrested. $200,000.
Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. Today, I want to give you all more of that spokesperson for the Karmelo Anthony family. His name is Dominique Alexander, and he is part of the Next Generation Action Network. They deal in civil rights cases, and I wanted to give you more information and tell you more about him. He is not the legal representation for the family. He is a spokesperson, ensuring that Black people get due process and that things are carried out in a fair and ethical manner. And again, his name is Dominique Alexander. So I'm going to show you more of this interview. I only showed you it's not an interview, it's him speaking and answering questions by reporters. I am going to leave the link in the description, but before we get into it, don't forget to smash like, comment, share, subscribe, hit all notifications so that you never miss the video that I post. Watch the video to the end. Let's get into it. So in this clip, and again, I'll put the link in the description below. You can watch the whole thing, but I'm just going to give highlights of some of it, the latter parts of it, and you can just check behind me. I have nothing to hide here, but it's interesting that he brought up other cases like George Zimmerman and Kyle Rittenhouse. So, but I'm going to let you hear it and you just make your own assessment.
That my comments are represented today by the Next Generation Action Network that have been working with the Anthony family from the advocacy standpoint. I'm not the Anthony family attorney. Of course, you know the Next Generation Action Network is no stranger to this line of work, and we have been representing families for the last 10 years from an advocacy standpoint to get to the bottom of this situation. The Next Generation Action Network, since the past week, have gotten thousands of calls regarding this situation and making sure that our organization was involved in this situation because of the growing tension of racism and bigotry involving with the case. I want to start off by saying that I appreciate the Deputy Chief, John Stretch, from being able to come here to meet with us, as well as the Assistant Police Chief, Darren Stevens. These are two individuals who are currently over the investigation that is currently going on in Frisco ISD. Of course, let's start off in the proper way. I'm Minister Dominique Alexander. I serve as president and founder of the Next Generation Action Network, the largest human and civil rights organization in North Texas. Today, we had a meeting with the leadership of the Frisco Police Department to discuss the matter of urgency in escalating racial threats and bigotry and online hate directed at the Anthony family. Let me be clear. The Anthony family cannot leave their home because of the growing threats towards their safety. Their personal address has been exposed. They have received graphic and racist threats. They are being targeted with violence and simply because their child is in the center of this tragedy. We are here this justice must be fair and impartial and protected from biases. We cannot allow racism and bigotry to divide us. We cannot allow white America to decide when and how Black people can speak up against oppression. We do not pull the race card, we live it. Yes, this case is a tragedy. Anytime a child is lost, we mourn as a community. Our heart goes out to the family of Austin Metcalf, but we do not erase the right of the Anthony family to be protected and heard and treated with dignity. That's why today we spoke with the Frisco Police Department leadership to demand answers. We need to know what steps are being taken to protect the Anthony family, the strategies of the threats that's being spreaded, and how Frisco police is ensuring that Karmelo Anthony's Sixth Amendment right, a fair and public trial, is fully respected. Let's make it clear that absolutely we have the full permission and trust of the Anthony family and authorized for the Next Generation Action Network to speak today. Today in this meeting, we talked about and was able to give them graphic images of what this family has had to deal with for the last couple of days. It is sad. These graphic images not only display children with knives, black children with knives stuck in their head, the Anthony family's address. We saw when this case first started that people were putting online that when Section 8 was accepted into the Frisco neighborhood, that became the lead of the downfall of Frisco. We have saw so many different hateful images, just hateful things. And the Next Generation Action Network wants to reiterate that Karmelo Anthony has a right to a fair trial, unbiased, and removed of racial hate and bigotry. I want to make it very clear, and I say this from my heart and my own personal reference. If someone wants to say race is not in this situation and shouldn't be, well, I asked all of those people to join me in calling it out. But don't look at black people and say, don't always play the race card. We don't play the race card, we live it. We live a reality. We also feel that the bond that Karmelo Anthony is on is too high. We do. Because guess what? We've been here when Aaron Dean was arrested. We was here when Amber Geiger was arrested. $200,000. The system, it has a problem in it. Now, what I want to be able to do is ensure, and what we was able to hear today from the Frisco Police Department is reensuring that the Frisco Police Department is doing everything that it can to address the racism and the bigotry. We have saw the police chief, a statement being sent out by the police chief that was false. We have saw a false autopsy report that was false. We have to caution the community to say, hey, we cannot trust everything that is online. The disinformation that is going online is hurting this case, and it has to stop. It has to stop, y'all. As we know it right now, Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony did not know each other. They did not know each other. Let's stop it. They were not at a party together. Let's stop the lies regarding this situation. We also know that both Austin Metcalf, the twin brothers, were on the roster that day to be at that track meet. We also know that Karmelo Anthony was on the roster that day to be at that track meet. We know they both arrived, all of them arrived to this facility via the transportation of Frisco ISD. The lies has to stop, y'all. Far as the legal strategy, I'm not talking about that today because that's not my place. I'm not the lawyer. I think you guys have all had a statement in regards that the lawyers have asked for a bond reduction, and they will release that in the way. We are solely here because where racism and bigotry and hate arises, the Next Generation Action Network will be there and will respond to that hate. We will not allow our communities to go under attack. We know that when people see a white and a black man in an unfortunate situation happen, that race always become a factor in that situation. And it's really because people don't want to really have a conversation about racial reconciliation in this country. And the current climate that we live in, where racism and bigotry is at the forefront, we don't really want to have these conversations. And social media has been a stomping ground for people to be able to launch any disparity that they want to. And so, our heart goes out to all who are involved. The Next Generation Action Network continues to restate that we are here to support this situation based on what we have seen. We want to continue to express Mr. Karmelo Anthony's grounds of where he has displayed self-defense. I think that in the next coming days, as you see the things going out in the courtroom, it will be displayed. But today's meeting was solely about the threats that have been going towards their home and ensuring that there is a fair and impartial investigation going on. And I want the public to know that our organization, along with attorneys, are doing everything they can to make sure that race is not a factor in this case, ensuring and supporting like we've always done. And so I really appreciate the police chief coming to meet with us today to answer all of those questions that we have had.
Now, let me just say, I feel for both sides of both families, okay? One is preparing for a funeral, and the other, their child might be going to prison for a very long time, depending on how things go. We don't know at this point if it would truly qualify for self-defense. We got to look at a few things. I'm going to leave the link in the description box below. But just to recap what was actually said and some of the questions that the reporters were asking, I made note of this. And again, this is Minister Dominique Alexander of the Next Generation Action Network. And you heard what they do. They try to make sure that their clients get fair due process under the law. We want to make sure it's fair. We don't want to factor race into this at all. And those of you who are going around on both sides, those who are for Karmelo Anthony and those who are for Austin Metcalf, I have seen horrible images, okay, online myself, okay, just not bloody or graphic. I haven't seen what he's seen. I'm not saying that, but I saw an image of Austin Metcalf in a casket, and it had BLM on it, and it said "Rest in P." Not in peace, not in peace. It ends in ISS. Okay, and that was, to me, that was just horrible. You could do a lot with AI and all this stuff, but it's on both sides. He said there were people showing knives, people, graphic images against Black people and talking about, Section 8 ruining the neighborhood and all of that. All of that's wrong. Anybody doing any of those things on both sides, you are wrong. That is just wrong. Let them do their jobs. Let the investigation go forth. We don't need this false information. So I will say that he made it very clear that they did not know each other. That was not They didn't know each other. They knew of each other more than likely because they both ran track, but they did not know each other. They were not hanging out at a party. And it was brought up by a reporter what steps have been taken to protect the Anthony family. So they have police presence at their home right now because their address was leaked. It was also brought up. Let me see. Something very interesting that he said in this particular, and you can find it when you watch the full video at your leisure, but he said that the boy did not die in the hands of his brother, that Metcalf didn't die in the hands of his brother. But I am certain I heard Metcalf's father, Austin's father, say that his twin brother, he died in the hands of his twin brother. That was in an interview. So what does he said that that wasn't true. I wasn't there. I don't know what is what. The only thing that sticks out to me about this is I know that Austin Metcalf's father and the brother would say words were exchanged, because I did a video with them doing interview with the mother and the brother and then the father by himself. And both of those interviews, the father and the brother said words were exchanged, but I'm not going to get into that. So I wonder what the words were, but they didn't want to get into it. So I mean, I don't know. We'll have to find out. And maybe they just didn't feel like, because the incident had just happened. Okay, the incident had just happened, and that is unfortunate because they are in grief. They are grieving so hard, so hard right now, and it's just a lot to deal with, to be standing there as answering questions right after something like this so heinous and so horrific happened. But again, Anthony's going with self-defense. I mean, we'll see what the evidence says. There's more than 70 witnesses, and there is video evidence too that comes out in this right here. And you will see it if you watch the whole thing. There's several videos of what happened. Because I know somebody had their cell phone out. The way people pop out their phone, somebody has what happened, what really happened. And it's crazy that people pretending to be the police chief with official letterhead, going out, pushing stuff out, acting like it came from the police department, and it didn't come out from the police department. People threatening the Anthony family. I cannot tell you how disgusting that is. But he said that was false about the Austin dying in Hunter's hands. Wow, that's crazy. He said there are some false pictures going around. There's pictures of what looks to be Austin Metcalf and Karmelo at a party. That's not them. That was some kind of fake mess going out. It was just fake. It was fake, guys. That's what he said. Now, he also brought up something very interesting in this. He brought up Kyle Rittenhouse. You guys remember that incident with Kyle Rittenhouse? It happened in late August of 2020. This is after the George Floyd protests of May 2020. 2020 was a crazy year. It was crazy. Everything about 2020 was not normal. It just was off the charts, not normal. But I'm going to bring this up with Rittenhouse, and also he mentioned George Zimmerman, because Trayvon Martin. He said if they can push forth self-defense, why isn't it that he can't? It depends on the situation. We got to look at situations, not base it like, well, he got it, without looking at everything. And I heard of Kyle Rittenhouse, but I never ever looked into it until today. So I'm going to share this with you all. To get accurate information, warriors, is very, very difficult, because you don't know if you can trust anything. But this is just coming off the internet. Now, this is just Wikipedia stating it right here with Kyle Rittenhouse. This is Kyle Rittenhouse, because Minister Dominique Alexander mentioned that why couldn't Karmelo get self-defense if Rittenhouse and Zimmerman got it? Well, according to this, in late August 2020, 17-year-old Rittenhouse traveled from Antioch, Illinois to Kenosha, Wisconsin to help protect local businesses after there were protests following the shooting of Jacob Blake by a police officer. On August 25th, 2020, Rittenhouse was armed with an AR-15 style rifle and shot 3 men during the civil unrest in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Photographic evidence reveals that prior to unrest unfolding, Rittenhouse and others had participated in cleaning graffiti from a high school close to the Kenosha County Courthouse. So they were cleaning off the graffiti. After a man named Joseph Rosenbaum chased and cornered Rittenhouse in a dealership parking lot and grabbed the barrel of his rifle, Rittenhouse fatally shot him. Rittenhouse fled and was pursued by a crowd. He fatally shot a second man, Anthony Huber, who struck Rittenhouse with a skateboard and tried to grab his rifle in a brief struggle. Gage Grosskreutz afterwards approached Rittenhouse with a pistol pointed at him, and Rittenhouse shot and wounded him in the right arm. All right, so two people he fatally shot. One chased him in a corner and cornered him and grabbed the barrel of his gun, and Rittenhouse shot him, and he died. And Rittenhouse fled and was later pursued by a crowd. And this is something you guys can look up. He fatally shot a second man, Anthony Huber, who struck Rittenhouse with a skateboard and tried to grab his gun, his rifle, in a brief struggle. So, and the third person pointed a pistol at him, and then he shot him in the arm. So if these things are true, and I don't know what's going to happen with Carl Anthony's case. I don't know enough about that one. Let me just be clear. I'm not talking about that one. But in this one, this really does look like a self-defense situation. Being cornered, being chased by a crowd, then someone has a pistol pointed at you. That's equal force. And he didn't even unalive the one with the pistol pointed at him. So this looks different to me. Okay. And I don't know what's happening with Carl Anthony. I'm not saying it wasn't self-defense. I'm not saying that at all. But we don't know enough right now. We need to wait for all the witness testimony, the video footage to come forth. Then we'll have more to give more of an accurate opinion. And I want to apologize for making too much of assumptions in previous videos. Okay, so let me just be clear with that. All right, here is George Zimmerman. And I only bring this up because of what Minister Dominique Alexander said. Okay, let me just go into this. On February 26, 2012, Zimmerman fatally shot 17-year-old African-American high school student Trayvon Martin in the retreat at Twin Lakes community in Sanford, Florida. Zimmerman was the neighborhood watch coordinator in his gated community. Martin was temporarily staying there at the time. The Twin Lakes Neighborhood Watch Program was not registered with the National Neighborhood Watch Program, but was administered by the local police department. Following an earlier call from Zimmerman, police arrived within 2 minutes of a gunshot during an altercation in which Zimmerman fatally shot Martin, who did not possess any weapons. Zimmerman was subsequently taken into custody, treated for head injuries, and questioned for 5 hours. The police chief said that Zimmerman was released because there was no evidence to refute Zimmerman's claim of having acted in self-defense. Under Florida's Stand Your Ground statute, the police were prohibited by law from making an arrest. The police chief said that Zimmerman had a right to defend himself with lethal force. As news of the case spread, thousands of protesters across the United States called for Zimmerman's arrest and a full investigation. Weeks later, after the shooting, amid widespread, intense, and in some cases misleading media coverage, Zimmerman was charged with murder by a special prosecutor appointed by Governor Rick Scott. Zimmerman's trial began on June 2013 in Sanford. A jury on July 13th acquitted Zimmerman of the charges of second-degree murder and manslaughter. For 3 years, the United States Department of Justice investigated Zimmerman on civil rights charges. In February of 2015, the DOJ concluded that there was not sufficient evidence that Zimmerman intentionally violated the civil rights of Martin, saying the Zimmerman case did not meet the high standard for a federal hate crime prosecution. It said after DOJ said it would not charge him with a hate crime, Zimmerman said he felt free to speak his opinion without fear of retaliation. Zimmerman criticized the government and President Obama. He believed Obama inflamed racial tensions. He by far overstretched, overreached, even broke the law in certain aspects to where you have an innocent American being prosecuted by the federal government, Zimmerman said. According to Zimmerman's brother, Robert Jr., in 2014, in the year following the trial, Zimmerman was both homeless and jobless. Robert Jr. said that while he believed his brother's state of mind was better, Zimmerman was a very traumatized person because he had his liberty taken away from him. And it says some things about him gaining weight and all of that. And he's had some domestic violence arrests according to that. So I wanted to bring that up because when I saw Zimmerman's face after, the incident, it was bloodied. He had he was in the back of the head. So it looked like, it doesn't say it here, but I heard this from Officer Tatum, and I know that Zimmerman had um, damage in the back of his head. He was injured in the back of his head, and it looked like a situation where someone was banging his head up against something, and then also his nose was bloodied. So I I just I remember being entrenched with anger because I believed the media at that time. I did. I believed the media. I shouldn't have, maybe, because it looked like he was getting his butt beat, is what it looked like with George Zimmerman. It looked like he was being beaten according to the photos. But I just wanted to bring that up because I don't know if I don't, well, we don't know yet. We just don't know. But I wanted to give you guys that information because he brought up Kyle Rittenhouse and George Zimmerman. But in the instance with Kyle Rittenhouse, I can safely say it looks like he had a right to self-defense. We don't know everything with Karmelo Anthony just yet. We just don't know. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to smash like, comment, share, subscribe, hit all notifications so that you never, ever miss a video that I post. You all be blessed. Love God, your families, these United States of America, and march on, warriors.